Of our program, why CCRE, what do we want to achieve, and what is the purpose of the group. So CCRE is the Center for Computational Research and Education, and our main aim is to raise the next generation of computational researchers. So how are we going about this? For the fact that HPC skills are increasingly important in engineering and the sciences, we designed this program to build practical computing skills and strengthen the computational research capacity in Africa. So Africa is our main focus, and this is our goal. And today we are holding this symposium to broaden our view about computational research. And to help us with this, we have Dr. Joan Ejeta. I would take this opportunity to tell you about her, and then we can just get started. But before I tell you about Dr. Joan, we have a special team that is working behind the scenes to make sure all of these are going on. And you can learn more about our team and more about the program by watching our inaugural session video on YouTube. So you just enter Center for Computational Research and Education, and you would see our channel. So you can learn more about the program over there. So on to telling you about Dr. Joan Ejeta. She is a San Diego Supercomputer Center HPC Summer Institute scholar, a National AI Research Resource Fellow, and Vice Chair of the U.S. Association for Computational Mechanics Student Chapter. She currently mentors undergraduate students through the Computing Research Association and is passionate about making computational research skills accessible across Africa. So she was born in Nigeria, and she's a computational scientist focused on leveraging supercomputing resources for clean energy research. She holds a BSc in mechanical engineering from KNUST in Kumasi. And after her undergraduate study, she taught mathematics and physics to high school students in Nigeria. From there, she pursued two master's degrees, and her focus was on pipeline and structural engineering. So she went to Cranfield University and Brunel University, both in the UK. After master's, she continued with her PhD in computational data science and engineering at North Carolina A&T State University in the USA. So this is our special speaker for today, our guest speaker for today. She will be telling us about her research in 15 minutes. And after that 15 minutes, we'll open up for questions, and she would give us answers to those questions. So this session is going to be really informative and educative. So we'd want you to be with us throughout the session and put down your questions. If you want to put it in the chat box, you just do that. We'll read them out and she would answer. So Dr. Joan Ejeta, over to you. But I'll be navigating your slides from this end.
Oh,
so
okay. So, all right, cool.
If you want me to move forward, yeah, you just let me know so I do that.
That's right. I was wondering how I was going to do the navigation.
Sure.
1 second.
All right. So yeah, can go for it.
Okay, cool. So hi everyone. Could you go to the slide? The title slide. Yeah, cool. Thank you. Hi everyone. My name is Dr. Joan Ejeta. I did my undergraduate degree, as previously mentioned, in KNUST Kumasi. So this program is very close to my heart. And I just recently completed my PhD in computational data science and engineering at North Carolina A&T State University. Today, I just want to show you how the HPC skills you're learning right now in this program, like Linux, SSH, job scheduling, Python, are the exact same tools I used to complete my PhD research. Hence, my talk was about HPC for material science research using supercomputers to design better catalysts for clean energy. Next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. Okay, so I'll start with the basics. What is high performance computing, otherwise called HPC? In simple terms, HPC is using many computers connected together to solve a single problem instead of running a calculation on your laptop for a week. You can send these calculations to a cluster, which is a room full of hundreds or thousands of connected machines, and it finishes in hours or days. Why does this matter to material science? I'll give you three reasons. The first is simulating atoms. When we want to understand how atoms arrange themselves on a surface, we have to solve quantum mechanical equations. These equations involve billions of numerical operations for even a single or even a small group of atoms for like water molecule, which your laptop cannot handle. The second reason would be screening of materials. Let's imagine you want to test 1,000 different material compositions and just to find the best one. You're not going to be able to synthesize this 1,000 samples in the lab. That would take years and cost a lot of money. But using a cluster, you can simulate all these configurations or all these samples, running them in parallel. Finally, scaling up. Real catalyst surface have hundreds of atoms. A single simulation of one surface, like I said previously, could take hours, even up to a day or even weeks, using 64 processing cores, whereby they're running simultaneously. Now, try multiplying that amount by 500 different configurations or different samples. Then you begin to imagine why we need supercomputers. And this is exactly what I did in my research. Next slide, please. I'll walk you through my journey in the US, which I feel may be relevant to some of you. I started, like, my background is mechanical engineering, and I went ahead to do high school, teaching high school students, and I have two masters, which has already previously been mentioned. And then I moved to the US to study my PhD. When I arrived, I had never used anything Linux or even used anything, submitted a job to the cluster because my background in mechanical and my master's, I did everything like CAD/CAM, AutoCAD, Solid Edge, I think a little bit of MATLAB, but I never had anything to do with like programming or using the clusters because we didn't have that exposure. So it was quite starting from scratch, where in my university I had to take classes. I had to learn how to use the HPC, where I learned how to do job scheduling, and I majored on using the quantum espresso software in running atomic scale simulations. Forward to 2023, I was awarded a scholarship to attend the HPC and Data Science Summer Institute at San Diego Supercomputer Center. This experience is what really changed my perspective, where it gave me the opportunity to learn at a very, like, in a more larger space, more about parallel computing, scalable workflows, and how to think about large-scale computations. That same year was when I started my research at my university under the US Department of Energy, in collaboration with CDAS, led by Dr. Ismail Adabo, who was currently then at Penn State University, but now he's at Carnegie Mellon University. This collaboration between my school, Penn State, MIT, Dartmouth University, Cornell University, and even national labs was what like spearheaded my interest in HPC. My role in this project was to use HPC to simulate like how titanium dioxide and titanium oxynitride surfaces behave during water splitting process, which I'm going to show you in the next slide. Next slide, please. So what exactly is the scientific problem or use cases for HPC? The world needs clean hydrogen. Like hydrogen is an incredible fuel. Where you burn it, the byproduct is water, no carbon emissions, and it can power fuel cells, industrial processes, and transportation. The simplest way to make hydrogen is to split water, either using electricity or sunlight. For titanium dioxide, we use sunlight. The chemistry is pretty straightforward. The engineering challenge here is finding the right material for the electrode, whereby the surface, the electrode, otherwise known as the surface in which the reaction happens. Right now, the benchmark catalyst is the uranium dioxide and the ruthenium dioxide. They work beautifully well. They are the ideal materials that should be used, but they are quite expensive and they are rare. You can imagine an uranium costing about $5,000 per ounce, which is not going to be feasible if you want to power the world. Hence, the study of titanium dioxide, which is an earth-abundant material and it's also non-toxic and it's available, which also has a chemical stability. Now, we were trying to understand how water and hydrogen interact with the surface of titanium dioxide and at an atomic level, which will enable us engineer the surfaces for it to produce an effective catalyst. On the right side, you see like titanium dioxide 110 facet. Um, it's the actual surfaces in which I simulate otherwise in which I play around with. The gray spheres are the titanium atoms, the red are the oxygen, and the white is the hydrogen atoms sitting on the surface. The structure on the left is when the relaxation, like I have not run any calculation or calculating the relaxation energy of the structure. And the far right is when the relaxation, I've run the DFT simulations for this current structure. Now, the DFT is just the quantum mechanical method based under the quantum theory, which is used to solve the Schrödinger equation using electron density. So because we are looking at things on an atomic scale and in the quantum side of things, we need like more robust computers or powers, compute nodes that will be able to run these calculations at a quantum scale. Next slide, please. I would show you the numbers. Like, for instance, for that particular structure in the previous slide, we ran about 500 different DFT calculations, and each one took a minimum of 4 hours, depending on the position of the hydrogen or the oxygen on the surface of the titanium dioxide. And each used about 64 to 128 CPU cores. And this was done, like I said, in collaboration with different universities where they all had different inputs or different expertise where they chipped in for this research. The steps in which to run a calculation using the HPC is like where you do the first step, you use a Python and a library called ASE, atomic simulation environment, to build the titanium dioxide surface. You build a slab and where you place the positions of the various atoms at different sites. Step 2 is where you use the Python script to write the input file for the Quantum Espresso. So the Quantum Espresso is the software used in running the DFT calculations. There are various softwares, but I majored on Quantum Espresso. I think the other one is VAPS. Yeah, if maybe you've heard of it. So like this Quantum Espresso is the DFT software that runs this different quantum equations. That's what happens at the back end of like when you look at the various configurations. Step 3 is you submit the job to the cluster using the command sbatch run. So different clusters connectivity, different commands, but for my own case, this is like an example of the command we use to run to issue the command we issue to the cluster to run the DFT calculation. The same job scheduler was used it finds different compute nodes like that are vacant or that are not busy, and like there's a whole lot of back end that happens in the cluster where you have the available nodes, busy node, idle nodes, and stuff like that, and then it picks one of the nodes and starts running the calculation. Step 4 is where the cluster itself solves this mathematical equation, which is the Schrödinger equation. So it solves it in an iterative loop over and over again until we approach convergence. So this could take, depending on the size, number of atoms, the properties you are trying to study, it could take hours, weeks, days, months. So it depends on what exact property you're trying to get from that calculation. And finally, once the job finishes, I collect the total energy from the output file. I convert it into an electrochemical free energy. This tells me how stable the hydrogen arrangement for that particular configuration I'm studying is, with regards to the voltage applied during the calculation. Next slide, please. And sorry, last step is 6. I repeat all the configurations and plot the results, which takes us to the next slide. Next slide, please. The figure on my left is as an example of one of the results. To explain this result, each colored line in this plot represents one specific arrangement of the hydrogen atoms. So like we're looking at different arrangements where it could be on the top or the bridge. I think these are all chemical terms, so I'll save you the chemistry behind it, but just take it that it's like for each line, it's the arrangement of the hydrogen atoms on the titanium dioxide surface. So which gives us about 500 plus different DFT configurations that I described earlier. The x-axis is the electrode potential. Think of it as like voltage applied to the surface. And the y-axis is the electrochemical free energy, which tells us how stable the configuration we are looking at is. So invariably meaning that the lower the voltage, the lower the electrochemical free energy, the more stable the structure is. The bold black line at the bottom is like sorry. Okay. Okay. The bold black line at the bottom is like the envelope that shows the most stable configuration at each voltage. This is the prediction of what the surface actually looks like if we're going to compare it with real experiments in the lab. What makes this plot particularly interesting is that at low voltage on the left side of the plot, the surface is covered with hydrogen, that is fully covered with hydrogen. Those orange, like you can see the orange and the green lines are the most stable. But as you increase the voltage towards the right, hydrogen gets stripped off the surface, like the teal and dark green lines as shown in the plot, which means it becomes more stable. So meaning invariably at very high voltage, hydrogen ceases to not exist on the surface. So the transition from hydrogen covered to a bare surface is exactly what happens in a real electrochemical cell. And we predicted it entirely from quantum mechanics and HPC without doing a single experiment. The key message here is just that each one of these lines required about days or weeks to run. There are about 500 of them, which we get run using the supercomputer or high performance computing. Next slide, please. And you'll be wondering, what does this all mean as participants of this program? Well, the skills we learn right now for this program, like the Linux, SSH, Slurm, Python, Git, they're the exact same tools I used every day while I was doing this research, and these exact same commands you practice in this program. 4 practical key takeaways would be, number 1 would be to start with one calculation at a time. I'd expect you to run 500 calculations in one day. You need to get the first job correctly and understand the inputs and output file, because like every other calculations, garbage in, garbage out. So you need to understand what your input file is, and you need to understand what results you're actually looking for to be able to know because whatever you give it, the HPC is whatever it will give you out. So you need to understand what results you should be expecting. You need to understand the background knowledge. Two would be automate everything in Python. Write your scripts, generate input files, pass your output files, plot your results. Your scripts becomes your gold card. They becomes your it's like take it like a lab notebook where you run experiments and you record. Your Python scripts is similar to that, because you can imagine if you want to reproduce your results 6 months from today, you need those scripts. That is what would help you to replicate the results you had 6 months ago. And three would be version control. Learn Git. I know people complain about using Git. It can be extra work, but it saves you time when things go wrong, especially when you're collaborating. And trust me, things actually go wrong. No one has ever run I've not met anyone that has run any simulation using HPC that they haven't had encountered issues or have stalls or even something happening. So like things always go wrong. So it's advisable to always start using Git from the very beginning you're running a simulation using HPC. And finally, collaborate. We encourage collaboration because HPC requires a whole lot of expertise that we don't like you can find it in one person. Like probably one person is good from the back end in terms of handling the clusters shutting down. Another person is good from the front end in terms of the script, while your script is not submitting. So it's advisable to have collaborations with peers or colleagues or even senior professors to enhance your experience and to make you like achieve the results you want to achieve using HPC. Next slide, please. And with this, I would like to say, this brings me to the end of my talk. But the key takeaway I want to leave with is the skills you're building in this program are the same ones I used for my research. I started with no experience, no Linux experience, no cluster access. I had no idea what Slum was or what is batch scheduling, but here I am. I've completed my PhD using HPC. So yeah, with that, I'd like to say thank you, and I'm open for questions.